Response video to the modern mystic. I'll try to avoid the magic bad words that, require him not to respond to what I say. It's just too rude or too whatever, implying too much. It all seems a little childish to me. I like to play these word games. I'm not allowed to complain about boring and slow and tedious language that other people use to say things in their indirect, fluffy, and bullshit manner. But, they can complain because I'm direct and to the point and speak my fucking mind. Oh, I said one of those words you're not allowed to say. So anyway, Nick, another video on this economic stuff. I will not characterize it in any manner, but I think he is incorrect again. You said that about somebody else. I think you did say somebody's incorrect. So yes, it's profoundly incorrect. Sorry about the wind. I was really going to fuck this video. But anyway, I should use the other camera. But that's beside the point. To the point. Alright, so he's talking about money, exchange. Like the monetary exchange, something like that, it's titled, whatever. And currency. So he's basically talking about currency and gold standards. And he says he's not for us going back to a gold standard, but he's arguing basically that gold standards probably would have worked. And that the only thing that happens is that you have deflation and your currency becomes more and more valuable once you establish it because you never allow it to grow. And somehow that's productive. I'd first argue it's highly unproductive if your currency is made out of a commodity, because then people will attempt to create that commodity. Now, if it was wheat, it might be a good thing. If we made money out of wheat somehow, dense, intensified wheat, where you dump it in a bucket of water and it turns into 5 acres of wheat or something. But no, it's usually something stupid like gold. And so then you basically encourage a bunch of people to go out and mine for money, to go dig up money out of the ground. Totally unproductive, total waste of resources and manpower for absolutely nothing to create completely fake wealth. Alright, so that's your first liability. The more important liability is that you don't want currency to retain its value. You want to do exactly the opposite. You want to slowly lose value over time so people don't hold it. The last thing you want people to do is hoard currency. You can look back at all these times in history, especially after wars, where all of a sudden gold was precious because the currencies have all been turned into crap. And so then you got to pay taxes and important bills with something more substantial because the currency is garbage. And you see what happens. You have this huge inflation. And that's basically, if you had currency that guaranteed an increase based on population alone, right there you're in big trouble. So if you don't grow the currency consistent with at least population growth, you're guaranteeing an increase in its value, which will guarantee that people will hoard the currency because they're guaranteed to make money. All they have to do is put it in a drawer and they make money. I mean, everything, that's fail. If your currency is doing that, your currency is failing to do what its job is, which is to be an expediter of transactions. It's supposed to just expedite transactions. It's not supposed to be something you hold in your drawer. So, I mean, ideally, as in the modern age, we shouldn't even need any kind of standard because money should just be an electronic commodity that's traded, and that the increase is mechanically proportional to size of the economy based on population growth and maybe some other matrix. But whatever. It's the argument that crap, this battery should not be going dead yet. Anyway, or I might have hit a button. But anyway, the currency should not be tied to a commodity price. It should enable transactions to happen freely, and nobody should want to hold it in their drawer. The very whole point of currency is to make it jump out of people's hands because they don't want to hold it, because it will lose its value. You want them to spend it. You want them to buy real stuff with it, because it is just a stuffed placeholder. That's all it's intended to be. It's not supposed to be representing, well, it does represent real stuff, but it does have a placeholder of real stuff in the bank somewhere. If you trace it, you will find stuff. Government-held stuff, or a government promise, at least, at the minimum. You got a government promise, which has always been pretty good, generally speaking, unless it's a Confederate government or something, and it loses a war. Then, yeah, it's not worth much then. But anyway, it's just recording. Well, so anyway, this just goes back to this fractional reserve banking again. This gold standard stuff. These are just the easy, cheap answers. It's like there's a murder and you're blaming the butler. I mean, it's too easy, too simple. The truth is more complicated, and and it's not even that complicated though. We know where this debt crisis takes place, and yeah, if you had a gold standard, it's still not going to stop the federal government from issuing bonds. It's not going to have anything to do with that. So as long as the government can still borrow money, it's printing essentially currency to do that. I guess I'll have to finish this video on this camera. Everything's breaking. So anyway, yes. It's not fractional reserve banking isn't the problem. Borrowing money is the problem, and it's not even an avoidable problem. The real problem is the consolidation of wealth, of ownership, of stuff, of the means of production, of all the real value in the economy. And everybody else is a renter. We have a monarch serf economy. So it's just obvious. Like I said, if we had to liquidate, if we had to pay back the debt that's out there now, most of the population would be dirt poor, and there'd be a few, tiny percentage of the population would be preposterously wealthy. That's the true circumstance. And government debt just hides that debt of the people. We've only had we the people government for so long. We've only been free of monarchs for so long. And then you didn't have government debt till you had we the people to do this borrowing from the rich, and that's what we've done. We freed ourselves of the king, and we borrowed from the king. It was just stupid. And so you've got decades old, maybe even a century old, some debt, and it's a lost cause burden. It's an interest burden that can't be sustained over the long term, because the rich keep claiming ownership further and further into the future. They're claiming ownership of more and more of our lives, and that's the unsustainable part. That's the part that broke the camel's back. If it wasn't the mortgage market that would collapse, it would have been some other market, because the truth is there was too many claims on too few debtors, or too little resource. The debtors had no capacity to sustain their indebtedness, to maintain it, to keep that profit engine running. So it was going to crash inevitably, one way or another. And now the only decision to be made is, how do we clean up the crash? How do we reconstruct the economy out of the pieces before the pieces are made? I mean, that's ideally, you want to do that. You want to just acknowledge the crash before the crash happens, reconfigure so you can move forward. Just stop time like a cartoon or something. Just say, okay, it's done, it's over. We made a mistake, we got to start over, we got to clean this up. And then just start reallocating ownership and restart the game from a more sensible, rational position. Because it can't be sustained from this position. The game's going to stop. It's ruined. It's broken. And acknowledging that gives us some hope. Not acknowledging that is fatal. It will be a fatal mistake for civilization. Civilization will be the price paid for not acknowledging that this needs to be reconfigured. This blueprint can't build. I don't know how to metaphor it, but you can't travel this road. The train tracks are too crooked, too steep a curve. I don't know how, it can't happen. So you have to change it. And all this talk about, fiat currency and the Federal Reserve and fractional reserve banking isn't going to get people's eye on the ball. The ball is debt, and who possesses claim on that stuff. And until we fix that problem, the rest of this is irrelevant. The amount of currency in circulation is irrelevant. There's 10 times, no, 20 times more debt held by the American people than is currency in circulation. Currency is irrelevant. Debt is the goddamn story. Alright, another video. Gotta go to work in the afternoon, planting trees, and my back is shit, so this is not going to be good. I might have to crawl home, see what happens. So anyway, till next time, blah 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 blah. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but they just make it more interesting. It's like interruptions without deliberate interruptions. Yeah. So anyway, till next time.